I'm 61 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Everything you think you know about getting your life together, about discipline, about taking control, it's probably wrong. And the worst part, the people who should be telling you this, your parents, your mentors, society, they either don't know themselves or they're feeding you the same lies that kept me trapped for 40 years. You see, I spent 4 decades of my life believing I just needed to try harder, work more, be more disciplined, get more organized, push through. And you know what happened? I burned out 3 times. Lost relationships that mattered, missed moments I can never get back. But at 61, something happened that made me realize I'd been doing it all wrong. And what I discovered changed everything. Not gradually, not over time, in one single moment. Everything I thought I knew about discipline and control, it all fell apart. And what I learned in the years since has completely changed how I live. But before I tell you what happened, I need you to understand something. I'm not making this video to lecture you or to pretend I have all the answers. I'm making this because I wasted 40 years figuring this out. And maybe, just maybe, I can save you from making the same mistakes. At 21, I thought I had it figured out. I was ambitious, hungry, ready to conquer the world. I'd read all the books about success and discipline. I had my plans, my goals, my vision boards, and I worked 7 days a week, early mornings, late nights. I told myself this was what discipline looked like. This was what taking control meant. My girlfriend at the time, she'd ask me to come to bed, just 1 more hour. I'd say, just need to finish this. My friends would invite me out. Can't. Got too much to do. My parents would call. I'll call them back later. Later. Always later. I thought I was being disciplined. I thought I was taking control of my life. But really, I was just reacting to everything, saying yes to every opportunity, every project, every request. Because that's what disciplined people do, right? They don't say no. They don't take breaks. They push through. At least that's what I believed. And you know what happened? By 35, I'd achieved everything I set out to achieve. The career, the house, the title, the respect. I should have been happy, but I wasn't. I was exhausted, anxious, running on fumes. I remember sitting in my car one morning before going into the office, just sitting there in the parking lot staring at the building, and I thought, is this it? Is this what I worked so hard for? But I couldn't figure out what was wrong. I had everything I wanted, so I did what I always did. I worked harder, got more disciplined, more organized, more structured. If I'm not happy, I must not be doing enough, right? Wrong. Let me tell you about my first burnout. I was 38. I'd been running at full speed for almost 20 years. And one Tuesday morning, I just couldn't get out of bed. Not in a lazy way, in a my body has shut down way. I called in sick for the first time in 3 years. Spent the whole day in bed staring at the ceiling. And I remember thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just push through like I always do? The doctor said stress, burnout, needed to slow down. So I took a week off, came back, worked just as hard, because that's what you do, right? You rest, you recover, you get back to it. I burned out again at 42, and again at 47. Each time, I'd tell myself, this time will be different. I'll be smarter about it. I'll manage my time better. I'll be more efficient. But nothing changed because I didn't understand what the problem actually was. I thought the problem was that I wasn't disciplined enough, that I needed better systems, better routines, better habits. The problem was I was being disciplined about all the wrong things. Fast forward to age 52. I'm sitting in my office at 11 p.m. on a Thursday night. My wife had stopped asking me to come home hours ago. My kids were already asleep. I was working on something. I don't even remember what it was. Some report, some deadline that felt urgent at the time. And my phone rang. There was my sister. My father had collapsed. Heart attack. They were taking him to the hospital. I remember the drive there. 23 minutes. I remember every second of it. I kept thinking, it'll be okay. He's tough. We'll get through this. I'll take some time off. We'll talk. I'll make it up to him. He died before I got there. The doctor said it was quick. Said he probably didn't suffer. Like that was supposed to make it better. And you know what my last conversation with him was? 3 weeks earlier, he'd called. It was a Sunday afternoon. Asked if I wanted to come over for dinner. Watch the game. Just hang out. I can't, Dad. Swamped with work. Big presentation Monday. Maybe next weekend. There was no next weekend. Sitting in that hospital waiting room, something broke inside me. Not in a dramatic, fall apart kind of way, but in a quiet, creeping realization that made everything suddenly clear. I had spent 30 years being disciplined, being organized, taking control of my life. And in all of that time, I never controlled the things that actually mattered. I controlled my schedule, but I didn't control where my time actually went. I controlled my to-do list, but I didn't control what got on that list in the first place. I controlled my work, but I didn't control whether that work actually meant anything. I thought I was in control, but really, life was controlling me. I was just reacting faster, more efficiently, with better systems, but I was still reacting. My sister sat next to me in that waiting room. She didn't say anything for a long time. And then she said, "He asked about you last week. Wondered if you were okay. Said you seemed stressed. I'd been too busy to notice he was worried about me." Too disciplined, too focused, too controlled. Here's the thing, nobody tells you about discipline. Real discipline isn't about doing more. It's not about working harder or being more organized or having better routines. Real discipline is about knowing what to say no to. And for 30 years, I said no to all the wrong things. I said no to Sunday dinners with my father, no to my kids' soccer games, no to date nights with my wife, no to friendships, no to hobbies, no to rest. But I said yes to every work request, every opportunity, every project, every meeting, every email that could wait but felt urgent. I was disciplined, just about the wrong things. Let me tell you the biggest lie about taking control of your life. You think control means being on top of everything, managing every detail, never dropping a ball, being the person everyone can count on. That's not control, that's slavery. Real control is deciding what deserves your attention in the first place. I learned this the hard way. After my father died, I couldn't just go back to the way things were. Something had shifted. I took 2 weeks off work, first real time off in years, and I spent those 2 weeks thinking about my life, about my choices, about what the hell I was doing with my time. And I realized something terrifying. If I had died that day instead of my father, what would people remember about me? That I answered emails quickly? That I met deadlines? That I was reliable? My kids wouldn't remember that. They'd remember that I missed their games, that I was always working, that I was there but not really there. My wife wouldn't remember my work ethic. She'd remember all the times I chose work over her. And my father, he'd remember that I was too busy. That's what 30 years of discipline had bought me. I started looking at my calendar differently. Every meeting, every commitment, every obligation. And I asked myself one question: if I died tomorrow, would I regret spending my time on this? And you know what I realized? About 70% of what filled my days, I wouldn't even remember on my deathbed. Client meetings that felt urgent but weren't important. Projects that looked impressive but didn't matter. Obligations I'd taken on just to avoid disappointing people I didn't even care about. I was disciplined about all the wrong things, so I started cutting. Not everything at once, but slowly, deliberately, I started saying no. The first time was terrifying. A colleague asked me to lead a committee. Old me would have said yes immediately, would have felt guilty saying no, but I said no. No explanation, no excuse, just, I can't take that on right now. And you know what happened? Nothing. They found someone else. The committee went fine. The world didn't end. I said no to weekend work. No to meetings that didn't need me. No to projects that drained my energy. And with each no, I felt lighter. Like I was finally starting to breathe for the first time in years. But here's what changed everything. I started saying yes to things I'd ignored for decades. I called my mom every Sunday, just like my father used to do before he got too busy, before I got too busy. I showed up to my daughter's play, not the opening night, the random Wednesday matinee that nobody else attended, sat in the back, watched her shine. She saw me afterward and her face lit up. Dad, you came. Like she couldn't believe it. That broke my heart, that my own daughter was surprised I showed up for her. I started having breakfast with my son before school. Nothing fancy, toast and coffee. But we'd talk, really talk. And I realized I'd been living in the same house as my kids for years and I barely knew them because I was too disciplined, too busy, too focused on things that don't matter. Here's something nobody tells you when you're young. You think you have unlimited time. You think you can do everything, fix everything, achieve everything. You think saying yes to everything is what disciplined people do. But time isn't unlimited. And every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that matters. I had a friend, good friend in college. We lost touch after graduation. Both got busy with careers and families. I'd think about calling him sometimes. I should reach out. We should catch up. But I never did. Too busy. Too much going on. He died last year. Heart attack. 59 years old. And I went to his funeral and realized I'd wasted 30 years. We could have had lunches, could have stayed close, could have been there for each other, but I was too disciplined, too focused, too busy. His wife said something at the funeral that stuck with me. John always talked about slowing down, always said he'd reach out to old friends when things calmed down. Things never calm down. That's the lie we tell ourselves. Things will calm down. I'll have time later when this project ends, when I get that promotion, when the kids are older. Things never calm down. There's always another project, another deadline, another reason to wait. Let me tell you what real control looks like. It's not having a perfect morning routine. It's not waking up at 5 a.m. It's not some productivity system or app or hack. Real control is being able to look at your life and honestly say, I'm spending my time on things that matter. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not being busy, not being productive, not being disciplined in the traditional sense. Just being intentional. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people can't say that. They're busy, they're productive, they're disciplined, but they're not intentional. They're doing what they're supposed to do, what people expect, what looks impressive, what feels urgent, but they're not doing what matters. I see young people now in their 20 seconds and 30 seconds, and they're making the same mistakes I made, working 80-hour weeks, sacrificing relationships, missing moments, and they think they're being disciplined. They think they're taking control, but they're not. They're just reacting really efficiently. And they won't realize it until it's too late, until they're sitting in a hospital waiting room wondering why they spent 30 years chasing things that don't matter. Don't wait that long. I'm 61 now. If I'm lucky, maybe I have 20 good years left. Maybe 30. Maybe I'll drop dead tomorrow. None of us know. But here's what I do know. These last 9 years since my father died, they've been the best years of my life. Not because I achieved more, not because I made more money or got more recognition, but because I finally stopped lying to myself about what discipline means. I stopped trying to control everything and started controlling what matters. I'm there for my kids now. Really there. Not physically present, but mentally elsewhere. Actually there. I have dinner with my wife 3 nights a week. No phones, no distractions, just us. I call my mom every Sunday. Same time. Never miss it. I see my friends. Actually see them. Not just text occasionally or like their posts. We have lunch. We talk. We stay connected. And you know what? I'm more productive now than I ever was. More focused, more effective. Not because I'm working more hours, but because I'm working on the right things. When you stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter, you have so much more for what does. You're probably younger than me. Maybe you're in your 20 seconds, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, thinking you have all the time in the world to figure this out. You don't. I thought I had time with my father. I didn't. You think you have time to get your life together, to start living intentionally, to stop reacting and start choosing. But every day you wait is a day you lose, and you don't get those back. So here's what I wish someone had told me at 21. Stop trying to do everything. Stop saying yes to everything. Stop trying to impress everyone. Start asking yourself, does this matter? About everything. Every commitment, every obligation, every relationship, every goal. If it doesn't matter, say no. I don't care how good the opportunity is. I don't care who's asking. I don't care how guilty you feel. Say no. Because every yes to something that doesn't matter is a no to something that does. Your parents won't be around forever. Your kids won't stay kids forever. Your friends won't wait forever. Time moves whether you're paying attention or not. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you spent your whole life being disciplined about the wrong things. Don't let that be you. Now, here's what I need to tell you. Everything I just shared with you, it works. Once you understand this, once you start being intentional about what gets your time and energy, everything changes. But there's one problem. One thing that will sabotage everything you just learned One pattern that will pull you right back into chaos no matter how clear you are about what matters. Bad habits. See, I learned to say no to external demands. I learned to protect my time. I learned to be intentional. But I had this one habit, this one pattern I couldn't break. Every night, I'd tell myself, tomorrow, I'm gonna leave work at 6. I'm gonna have dinner with my family. I'm gonna be present. And every day, I'd break that promise. It wasn't conscious. I didn't wake up planning to work late, but by 3 p.m., something would come up. An email, a problem, a request, and I'd stay. Just one more hour, just need to finish this. Before I knew it, it was 8 p.m. Again, this habit kept dragging me back, kept stealing my time, kept pulling me away from what mattered. I'd set boundaries, and this habit would make me break them. I'd make plans, and this habit would derail them. I'd commit to being present, and this habit would distract me, and I couldn't stop it. Not through willpower, not through discipline, not through any of the traditional methods, until I discovered something. A system, an approach that came from Japan, something they've understood for centuries that we're just starting to figure out in the West. And this system, it doesn't just help you stop bad habits. It helps you understand why you can't stop them in the first place. Because here's what I learned. Bad habits aren't about lack of discipline. They're not about being weak or lazy or unmotivated. They're about something deeper. Something most people never address. And until you address it, you'll keep falling back into the same patterns. You'll keep making the same promises to yourself. You'll keep breaking them. You can have all the clarity in the world about what matters. You can understand discipline. You can be intentional. But if you don't know how to break the habits that sabotage you, you'll always be fighting yourself. I spent 3 years trying to break that one habit. 3 years of failing, of disappointing my family, of disappointing myself, until I learned this Japanese system. And everything changed. Not overnight, but systematically, permanently. And that's what I'm going to share with you next. Because you need to know this. Not someday, not when you're ready, now. The Japanese figured out something about human behavior that changes everything. And once you understand it, once you apply it, breaking bad habits becomes natural. Not easy, but natural, and that's the difference between temporary change and permanent transformation. Watch the next video, because what you just learned about discipline and control, that's the foundation. But what you're about to learn, that's what makes it stick. That's what turns intention into reality. That's what separates people who know what they should do from people who actually do it. Don't wait. Don't tell yourself you'll watch it later. Later is how you lose 40 years. Watch it now.